Ryan was helping tidy up his sister Rachel's apartment. Rachel had never been known for her neatness. Her style was more like a place for everything, and everything scattered everywhere. Ryan never understood how she managed to live like that, but it had been her way for years. Luckily for Rachel, her younger brother was a neat freak and happy to bring order to her chaos. It was good for Ryan too, since Rachel paid him for his help and he needed the money. Recently, Ryan had lost his job managing a fast food restaurant after it was shut down. Despite being the cleanest, most organized location in the chain, the new owners closed it after buying it. Ryan had wanted out of the business anyway, tired of the long hours and low pay, but he had hoped for another job lined up. That hadn't happened. Rachel, on the other hand, was doing well in sales. She had all the things Ryan wanted: a new car, a stylish apartment, plenty of clothes, and an active social life. Ryan owned a 12-year-old car that was more often in the repair shop than on the road. He lived in a small efficiency apartment in a rough neighborhood, barely affording the rent. His last job required black slacks and a white shirt, so his wardrobe was limited. With his schedule, he had no social life, needing better clothes anyway. Ryan made some extra money typing papers for college students. He was an expert and always delivered well-formatted reports. This, plus the money from Rachel's help, kept him afloat. But a car problem almost ruined him. One day, while straightening Rachel's apartment, they talked about Ryan's troubles. "You know, Ryan," Rachel said thoughtfully, "we could really use you at the office. Things would run much smoother." "I don't have office experience," Ryan said sadly. "Everyone wants experience, but no one's willing to give me a chance." "You're probably right," Rachel admitted. "But I'll talk to Phoebe at work. It's her company, and maybe she'll take a chance." Ryan was skeptical but agreed. A week later, Rachel called and asked Ryan to come to her apartment that evening. Phoebe wanted to discuss a job. Ryan found it odd to have an interview after hours at Rachel's place, but a job was a job. Phoebe and Rachel greeted Ryan warmly, though something about their behavior felt a little strange. "Rachel tells me you're looking for work, Ryan," Phoebe said with a smile. "She says you'd be a great help organizing my company." Rachel gestured around the apartment. "Without him, this place would be a disaster." Ryan laughed. "She's right. She'd lose everything after a couple of weeks without me." Phoebe smiled. "Rachel's our top salesperson and says she couldn't manage without you. He keeps my schedule and client list in order," Rachel added. "I just follow his plans, and clients are amazed I know exactly when to call. I just keep you organized." "You're the one doing the selling," Ryan said. "Your sister mentioned you're a great typist, too. Could you take messages and schedule appointments?" "I already do a lot of that for Rachel," Ryan replied. "Think you could do the same for 5 other people?" Phoebe asked. "That would make my job much easier." "Is that a job offer?" Ryan asked hopefully. "Well, sort of," Rachel said hesitantly. "What do you mean, sort of?" Ryan asked. Phoebe explained, "I got special government funding for this business. To qualify, I have to hire minorities as part of a 5-year plan. We're in year 3. Ryan frowned. "What minority group could I possibly belong to?" Rachel and Phoebe exchanged looks. "There's no minority group you fit into," Phoebe said quietly. "Then how did Rachel get a job?" Ryan asked, confused. "If I'm not a minority, she shouldn't be either." "She's a woman," Phoebe said slowly. "And I can hire women with no problem." Ryan's hopes sank. Just when he thought he had a chance to use his skills, the door slammed shut. "Why even come here if you couldn't hire me?" he asked bitterly. Rachel sat beside him, taking his hand gently. "She came to offer you the job, Ryan, if you're willing to meet the condition." "Wait, what condition?" Ryan asked, suspicious. Phoebe leaned forward, her expression unusual. "The catch is, you have to take the job as a woman." Ryan sprang to his feet immediately. "Are you crazy? I'm a guy, remember?" "Not if you want this job, Ryan," Phoebe said coolly. I can't hire Ryan for another 2 years. But Maria could start as soon as she's ready. Rachel gently pulled Ryan back onto the couch. Please, Ryan, just think about it. You need this job, and Phoebe really needs your help. I can't. Changing someone's gender isn't exactly simple. We're not talking about changing your gender, Phoebe said. Just your appearance, for a while. Rachel explained how Phoebe had wanted to hire Ryan immediately after hearing about him. Without the minority business qualification, he'd already be working. They'd spent the past week crafting a plan. If Ryan accepted, he'd report to Phoebe as Rachel's younger sister. Rachel would help him pass as a woman, and once ready, he'd become Maria and Codell, Phoebe's assistant. But what about clothes? Ryan asked. I can barely afford what I have, let alone a whole new wardrobe. And then there's Mom and Dad, my landlord, and 100 other complications. Dad thinks we're crazy, Rachel said, but he and Mom agreed it's for the best. You'll stay here with me, your old place isn't safe for a woman. You can borrow my clothes until you can get your own. Everything will be fine if you trust me. Do I have any choice in this? Ryan asked incredulously. It sounds like you two have my future all mapped out. You don't have to take it, Rachel replied dryly. You could keep living in poverty, hoping someone hires an inexperienced guy at a salary you can only dream of. Ryan knew he was on the brink of losing his apartment, and his car was barely holding together. But working as a woman? I guess you're right, he sighed. When do I start? Tell your landlord you're moving out Saturday, Rachel said efficiently. It's the end of the month, you won't owe another month's rent. I'll help move your stuff and get you started right away. That night, Ryan called his parents. They confirmed everything Rachel said and promised their support. He thanked them and hung up, stunned by the sudden turn his life had taken. That morning, he was broke, drowning in bills for a worthless car and a failing apartment. Tonight, he had money, a spacious new place, and a fresh start. It seemed simple, but he'd never been more scared. Ryan notified his landlord and began packing his few belongings. Sleep eluded him for several nights, as he dreamed of his new job only to imagine everyone laughing, calling him names, and seeing through his disguise as a man in a dress. Bright and early Saturday, Rachel arrived to help move him. Since her apartment was furnished, they only had to bring Ryan's clothes, dishes, and a few personal items. Rachel took the boxes of his clothes first, returning quickly for more. Soon, everything was packed, and they left Ryan's old apartment behind. Arriving at Rachel's place, Ryan was surprised to find fewer things to unpack than he'd packed. When he asked why, Rachel said she'd tossed his old clothes into a dumpster behind the building, they weren't going to be needed. His mismatched plastic dishes were gone too. The only things saved were his books. Rachel told Ryan to put his books on a shelf in the spare room and make himself at home. He'd cleaned the room plenty of times, but now it felt different. The cream wallpaper dotted with tiny pink roses made him uneasy. He shelved his books and peeked into the closet. I picked out a few outfits I thought would look great on you, Rachel called cheerfully from another room. Hope you like them. Ryan stared at the closet. Dresses, skirts, tops, blouses, shoes, even some slacks. All expensive, stylish, and all his. He opened a dresser drawer that had been empty before, it now held bras and panties. Closing it, he cautiously opened another filled with slips, camisoles, and pieces to wear with slacks. Two larger drawers contained casual wear jogging suits and jeans, but unmistakably feminine. Ryan was so focused on the clothes he didn't notice Rachel enter the room. Don't just stand there staring, little sister. Pick something pretty and let's get started. Started with what? Ryan asked. Started with becoming a woman, of course, Rachel said, exasperated. Honestly, men can be so clueless. You'll see soon enough. She reached past him and pulled out a few items. Here, let me help for now. I'll find the perfect outfit. She selected white nylon panties, a half slip, a bra, and stockings from the drawer. Then, from the closet, She grabbed a denim skirt and a peach-colored top. First, take a shower and shave your legs and underarms. When you're done, call me if you need help dressing. Oh, and toss your old clothes out in the hall so I can get rid of them. Ryan took the underwear and headed to the bathroom to begin the transformation from Ryan to Maria Ann. He turned on the shower, soaped his legs from toes to thighs, and shaved them carefully. His hair was thin and light, but after an hour's work, it was completely gone. Next, he shaved his underarms until only slight stubble remained. Satisfied, he finished the shower and stepped out to dry. After a moment of hesitation, Ryan pulled on the panties. He'd never worn anything so soft, cool, and smooth. He was amazed at the fit. He'd always thought of himself as average-built, but now it seemed he was shaped more like an average woman. Ryan, now wearing panties, returned to his new bedroom to finish getting dressed. He grabbed the bra and slipped his arms through the straps, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't fasten it behind his back. Frustrated, he laid the bra on the bed and moved on to his next challenge, pantyhose. Sitting on the bed, Ryan assumed the pantyhose would be as easy as pulling on pants. He slipped one foot in, then the other, and carefully pulled them up to his waist. The half slip went on without trouble, followed by the denim skirt with its front zipper and button. Once the skirt was secured, he called out for Rachel. "Having trouble, sis?" Rachel asked. "I can't figure out how to close this stupid bra," Ryan replied, holding it up. "Oh, sorry. I forgot it's your first time. Here, let me show you a trick." Rachel took the bra, placed it against Ryan's chest, and rotated it so the hooks faced front. "Try fastening it now." Ryan hooked it easily, then turned the bra back so the hooks rested at his back. He slid his arms through the straps and pulled them onto his shoulders. Standing there in a skirt and bra felt awkward with his sister watching, but he knew this was just the start. Pulling the top over his head, he stood ready for inspection. "You'll need a little work," Rachel said thoughtfully. "But you're already going to look really nice." She circled him a few times before stopping in front. "Just a few more things to do," she said, heading out of the room. "Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back." "Like I'm really going to stay dressed like this?" Ryan called after her. "People would think I'm nuts." Rachel returned, holding several pairs of pantyhose and a girdle. "Don't worry, once we're done, you'll be just another cute babe," she laughed. "Exactly what I always dreamed of," Ryan joked. Rachel helped Ryan pull on the girdle beneath his skirt and slip, then had him take off his top. She stuffed 2 pairs of pantyhose into each cup of his bra. "This will have to do for now," she said as Ryan put his top back on. She led him to a full-length mirror, where he saw a guy with shapely legs, a cute rear, dressed tastefully in a miniskirt and top staring back. "We're almost there, Maria," Rachel exclaimed gleefully. "You're looking great, if I do say so myself." Ryan couldn't argue. The bra's padding gave him a respectable bust line, and the girdle lifted and shaped his small rear nicely. Even the top, which fell over his hips, highlighted curves he never knew he had. Next, they went to the kitchen. Ryan removed his top so Rachel could place a plastic apron around his shoulders. Then he leaned over the sink as she washed his hair. She shampooed and conditioned with a sweet scent, then rubbed in a foul-smelling liquid. After rinsing, she told him to sit by the kitchen table. Ryan noticed a collection of combs, brushes, scissors, curlers, and a hairdryer waiting. "What's next?" he asked, nervous. "I'm going to fix that long, stringy hair and make it look nice," Rachel said matter-of-factly. "Lucky for you, I went to beauty school for a year." For over an hour, Rachel combed, trimmed, rolled, and dried his hair. Ryan hadn't had a haircut in a while, dreaming he'd look like the handsome male leads on romance novels. Now, it seemed he'd resemble their female counterparts. She removed the curlers, then brushed and dried for a few more minutes. "Am I beautiful yet?" Ryan joked. "One last thing, little sister," Rachel replied, walking away. "Just one more thing." She returned carrying a pair of low-heeled sandals and a small box. She set the shoes before Ryan and told him to slip them on. Then she opened the box and pulled out cosmetics. Explaining each step, Rachel first dotted foundation onto his face and blended it with a sponge. Then she applied powder with a brush to set it. She added blush to his cheeks, followed by lipstick. Finally, she styled his eyes with an eyelash curler, mascara, and eyeshadow. After stepping back to admire her work, she handed Ryan a mirror. He was speechless. Looking back at him was a very pretty girl with beautiful blonde hair. She gave him a few moments to absorb it before interrupting. "So, you like what you see? I look like a girl," Ryan stammered. "Yes, you do." Rachel laughed. "I thought blonde would suit you better. Hope you don't mind. Will I always look like this?" Ryan asked nervously. "No, Maria Ann, this is just a casual look. You can look even better with more makeup and pretty clothes." "I never thought I was anything special," Ryan admitted. "Not to hurt your feelings, little sister, but you were never average, too thin, too smooth-faced, and a bit short." Ryan stayed quiet, realizing deep down that his macho guy dreams weren't reality, but he never imagined he looked quite like this. "Don't let it bother you," Rachel said, softening her tone. "If it helps, you make one heck of an attractive woman." Ryan said nothing, staring at his reflection until Rachel took the mirror away. "Come on, sis, you've got a lot of work ahead." "What work?" Ryan asked. "I've got 1 month to turn you into a woman, so we need to move fast." Rachel took Ryan back to his new bedroom and launched into a crash course on women's clothing. The afternoon was spent learning what each garment was, how to size it, and its purpose. Ryan absorbed everything he never cared to know about slips, half-slips, pettipoints, camisoles, push-up bras, demi-bras, and a whole lot more. He couldn't imagine remembering it all, but Rachel promised that once he got used to wearing them, it would become second nature. Alongside the clothing lessons, Rachel coached him on how to speak like a woman. Ryan's voice was naturally higher-pitched. On the phone, strangers often mistook him for a woman. He discovered that simply relaxing and not forcing a male voice brought his tone close to Rachel's. After several hours, they switched to makeup. Ryan recognized most of the products from watching his mother and Rachel use them growing up, but the thought of applying them to himself left a sour feeling in his stomach. The makeup lessons stretched through the afternoon, with a brief lunch break before resuming. Eventually, Rachel decided it was enough for the day and moved on to poise lessons. Rachel was thorough. She had Ryan practice standing, sitting, and walking until he nailed each on the first try. When sitting, he smoothed his skirt, crossed or pressed his legs together, and carefully adjusted the hem. Beyond posture, Rachel taught him how to shake hands like a woman and gave pointers on interacting with men. Ryan couldn't understand why he needed the latter, but Rachel insisted that as an attractive woman, he would definitely need those skills. Ryan took detailed notes throughout. If he was going to become a woman, he wanted to do it right. By early evening, Ryan was hungry. "Do I get dinner for being such a good student?" "Absolutely, Maria Ann," Rachel said with a smile. "You've been such a good girl. We're going out." "I'm not ready to go out in public yet. Can't we just order pizza?" "You can't eat pizza all the time. Little sister, you have to watch that cute figure. Besides, Mom and Dad are expecting us." "I can't face them like this," Ryan protested. "Please, not Mom and Dad." "Calm down, Maria," Rachel soothed. "They'll see you sooner or later, and this will help you get used to being a woman in public." Ryan knew he had to go. His parents had supported him since he lost his job, and he owed them so much. Still, the thought of facing them dressed and made up as a woman terrified him. He hoped they would understand he needed this job, and this was the only way. Rachel handed Ryan a purse filled with makeup, perfume, tissues, and a wallet. "Welcome to the world of women, little sister," she said, smiling. "From now on, your purse goes everywhere with you. You'll get used to it, and it holds a lot more than pocket." Ryan sighed, slung the purse over his shoulder, and followed Rachel to her car. On the drive to their parents' house, Rachel reassured him constantly. Ryan found it hard to relax. He was about to meet his parents fully transformed. What would they think? When they arrived, Rachel checked her makeup in the rearview mirror, and Ryan did the same, unsure what he was supposed to be looking for. Satisfied, Rachel gave his lipstick a quick touch-up before they stepped out. Ryan felt like everyone in the neighborhood was watching as they walked to the door, though he knew they weren't. He wished his shoes didn't click so loudly, as if announcing his arrival. Rachel opened the door and let Ryan enter first. Although he'd passed through this door countless times, this was the first time he didn't feel happy about it. There was no turning back. Rachel followed, closing the door and calling out, "Hi folks, Maria and I are here." Their parents came from the kitchen, smiling and opening their arms. "Hi girls," Mrs. Codell exclaimed. "Right on time for dinner, great," Ryan called out. "Rachel's kept me so busy, I didn't think I'd get to eat." Mr. Codell studied his pretty son a moment before speaking. "She did a fantastic job. You look really nice, Maria Ann." "She's right, honey," Mrs. Codell said, hugging him. "You look very pretty." With the tension broken, Ryan relaxed and hugged his mother. "Thanks, Mom and Dad," he sighed. "I was scared you'd laugh at me or something." "It is unusual," Mr. Codell admitted. "But Rachel tells us you're doing a good job." "I'm sure I can handle the job, I just hope I fit in." "Don't worry, Maria and," Rachel said. "By the time I'm done, you'll feel like you were born a girl." After dinner, Ryan stayed behind with Rachel and his mom to help with the dishes while his father went to watch TV in another room. Usually, Ryan would have joined his dad, but tonight he thought it better to stay with the women. He figured he'd be spending a lot more time with them going forward and wanted to get used to it. The three of them had a great time cleaning up, and soon Ryan found himself laughing over his experiences trying on Rachel's clothes. Rachel and their mom shared plenty of helpful makeup and fashion tips, and Ryan vowed to remember them all. Once the dishes were done and the kitchen spotless, the ladies sat down with a cup of tea and chatted. Naturally, the conversation centered on Ryan, or rather, Maria Ann. They discussed which colors would flatter her, clothing styles she might prefer, fabrics, and the many finer points of being a woman. Before they knew it, hours had passed, and it was time to head home. Ryan kissed his parents goodbye and followed Rachel to the car, his mind buzzing with new information. Back at the apartment, Ryan searched for something to wear to bed after a shower. After browsing his new sleepwear, he settled on a pink cotton nightgown trimmed with lace at the sleeves and hem. To practice matching clothes, he paired it with a delicate pair of white nylon panties patterned with tiny pink roses before heading to the shower. Though he had shaved earlier that afternoon, Ryan used some of Rachel's hair remover cream to ensure a perfectly smooth look. Following the instructions carefully, he spread it evenly where he wanted to clear stubble. After waiting a few minutes, he rinsed it off and was surprised at how much softer his skin felt. He spent extra time conditioning his hair, since his mom and sister had told him he'd need it for styling. After reviewing his mental checklist, Ryan decided he was done in the shower. He turned off the water, stepped out, and toweled off. Then, wrapping a towel around his head like women often do, he let it absorb some of the excess moisture before styling his hair. Slipping on the silky panties, Ryan marveled at how smooth they felt against his now stubble-free legs. Without any roughness, the panties slid up easily to rest around his hips. He pulled the nightgown over his head and went to find Rachel for the next step. Rachel set Ryan's hair in curlers again, warning him it might be uncomfortable to sleep with them at first. She suggested investing in hot rollers so he could set his hair while getting dressed in the mornings. That night, as Ryan tossed and turned trying to get comfortable, he decided no matter what, he'd own a set of hot rollers. The next day was devoted to more lessons in femininity. Ryan tried on various outfits, practiced walking, refined his voice, and worked on mannerisms until Rachel was satisfied with his progress. He was advancing quickly, and Rachel was confident he'd be ready in time. Of course, Walking around the apartment was one thing, going out in public would be the real test. Ryan protested that he needed more time before venturing out as a woman, but Rachel promised to avoid crowded places. After some debate, Ryan agreed to an afternoon movie and a walk in the park. As part of the compromise, Rachel allowed him to wear jeans and a top instead of a skirt. Confident, Ryan insisted on dressing himself. Taking off his nightgown, he pulled on a pair of knee-high stockings, then jeans and a top. The jeans felt loose at the waist, but a belt would fix that. Rachel soon pointed out a problem Ryan hadn't noticed, a bulge where there shouldn't be one. "Not good, Maria Ann," Rachel said with a smile. "Women don't have that bulge in front of their jeans. Put on a girdle and see if you can tuck it away." Feeling silly for missing such an obvious detail, Ryan went back to his room, removed his jeans, and pulled on a girdle. He carefully adjusted himself to keep things hidden, then tightened the girdle as much as possible before putting his jeans back on. This time, he checked the mirror before leaving the room. "How's this?" he asked, sticking his hips out proudly. "Much better. I can't believe I forgot about that." "It never seemed like an issue before," Ryan admitted sheepishly. "That's because men's jeans are cut differently to accommodate what women don't have. Women's jeans fit smoothly and are tighter. You'll get used to it, you won't want to wear skirts and dresses all the time." It felt strange hearing Rachel speak as if he'd spend the rest of his life as a woman. Even stranger was realizing he'd never asked how long he'd have to pretend. Not that it mattered, Ryan thought. He wasn't getting a gender change. Whenever he chose, he could change back into Ryan. Ryan did his own makeup this time, and Rachel even praised how quickly he'd picked it up. He felt a little proud, like a teenage girl mastering cosmetics for the first time. After Rachel styled his hair, they grabbed their jackets and purses and headed off to the movie. Despite feeling self-conscious about appearing as a woman in public, Ryan reminded himself he had to master these skills if he wanted the job that seemed perfect for him. As they drove to the theater, he mentally rehearsed everything he'd learned, determined to avoid mistakes and blend in smoothly. At the theater, Ryan's nerves kicked in when he saw the line they'd have to wait in. Rachel gently took his arm, steadying him as they moved forward. "Come on, sis," she teased. "Don't chicken out now. Keep telling yourself you're an attractive woman." Ryan glanced at Rachel, then back at the crowd. By then, they'd reached the door, and Rachel wasn't letting him back out. "It's either go in or sit in the car for a couple hours," she whispered. "You'd draw way more attention sitting out there than inside." Ryan realized she was right. He'd heard it wasn't safe for a woman to be alone like that, and explaining why he was dressed this way to a cop would be difficult. "Hope you're right," he whispered back, opening the theater doors. Inside, they joined the line with several others, none of whom did more than smile. Ryan felt immense relief and a confidence boost. Even up close, people thought he was a woman. After the movie, Ryan and Rachel stopped at a park overlooking the city. Walking through it, Ryan noticed many men glanced their way, some with more than just a casual look. Even with limited experience, Ryan understood they were being checked out. At first, he felt uneasy, until he realized every man who looked was smiling. Clearly, they liked what they saw. Back at the apartment, Ryan asked Rachel how she felt when men stared at her. "I take it as a compliment," she said. "They're telling me I'm pretty and attractive. I can't imagine any woman who wouldn't like that." "Are they always that obvious?" Ryan asked. "It felt like we were on display." "Some guys are more obvious than others," Rachel replied. "But that's why we went there. I'd been before and saw lots of cute guys, so I figured it was a perfect place to show off my new sister." "Hold on, Rachel, you're acting like I'm really your long-lost sister, like I'm actually a woman or something." Rachel smiled mischievously. "Let me explain, little sister," she said, a twinkle in her eye. "When I suggested you work for Phoebe, it was as a guy. Phoebe said she couldn't hire men, then came up with this crazy idea that you pretend to be a woman. I told her she was nuts and you'd never agree, but she insisted we ask. Honestly, I was surprised you said yes." Ryan was stunned. He'd told himself Rachel had pushed him into it. Could it be it wasn't so hard after all? But I thought you were fully behind this. I thought I was helping you and Phoebe. You are, Maria. You really are. It's just that you never asked how long you'd have to dress like this. I figured the idea of being a woman must have appealed to you somehow. Honestly, I never thought to ask. I never even considered trying on your clothes when I cleaned up. I don't know why I said yes. I hope you don't think there's something wrong with me. No way, sis. You needed a job and were willing to meet the unusual requirements, that's all. Ryan felt relieved hearing that. He'd always been close to Rachel, and her opinion meant the world. Can I tell you a secret? He asked hesitantly. You know you can tell me anything, Rachel assured him. What's on your mind? Ryan shuffled his feet and stared at the ceiling a moment before continuing. This is starting to be fun. Rachel grinned. I know what you mean. It's like playing with my Barbie dolls all over again. Then you don't mind sharing your clothes with your brother? To be honest, I never thought this would work out. But now, you're making a great-looking lady, thanks. Ryan beamed. I'm really trying hard to get it right. Ryan, Rachel said with a sly smile, can I ask you something personal? Sure, what's up? You're enjoying this, aren't you? Tell me the truth, you like getting all dolled up. Ryan thought for a moment. Yeah, you're right. I really am having a great time learning to be a girl. Just don't tell Mom and Dad, okay? Rachel's grin widened. I knew it. Rachel exclaimed, thrilled. I just had a feeling you were enjoying this as much as I am. Don't worry, I promise it stays just between us sisters. Ryan hugged his sister tightly, relief washing over him now that he'd shared the secret. So, what's next, Rachel? He asked, hopeful. The hard part is coming, little sister, Rachel said softly. We need to make you feel so feminine that you forget you're a guy. Think you can manage that? Ryan thought carefully before answering. I guess so, but how? For starters, no more jeans or pants for a while. You'll be wearing nothing but the frilliest lingerie, dresses, and nylons. Trust me, this stuff will make you feel incredibly sexy and you're going to love it. Ryan wasn't completely sure he was doing the right thing, but with his apartment gone and Rachel having tossed his old clothes, he was going to be her sister for now. Where it would all lead, he had no clue, but with no way out, he was along for the ride. True to her word, the transformation began that very night. Instead of his usual shower, Rachel insisted on a long, hot bubble bath, telling him to relax and soak. Ryan slid into the silky water and immediately realized what he'd been missing, a perfect treat. The water was just warm enough, the bath oil gave it a flowery scent, and for a moment, everything felt right. He vowed from then on to take only bubble baths. Afterward, Ryan patted himself dry with a perfumed powder and slipped on a pair of frilly nylon panties, followed by a short pink silky nightgown. The panties were exactly as Rachel promised, sexy, resting low on the hips, nylon in back with sheer pink lace in front and on the sides. The nightgown's lace-trimmed hem ended several inches above his knees, and the low-cut bodice revealed the cleavage he didn't have. It was a stunning piece designed to make any woman feel sexy and desirable, and tonight, Ryan was that woman. Rachel whistled appreciatively as Ryan entered the room. Well, how do you feel? Striking a playful pose with one hand on his hip and the other behind his head, Ryan laughed. Sexy, very sexy. That bath was amazing. I loved it. Good, Rachel smiled. I want you to enjoy feeling soft, pretty, and pampered. You'll feel more feminine, and it'll be easier to see yourself as a woman. That night, Ryan went to bed feeling stranger than ever. The combination of nightgown and panties excited yet scared him. He loved the soft, lightweight feel of the panties, and the silky nightgown drove him wild. Looking like a woman was one thing, but experiencing the feelings Rachel said would make him think like a woman, that was something else entirely. And he loved it. Rachel was gone the next morning when Ryan woke, so he spent the day puttering around the apartment, enjoying the gentle brush of nightgown fabric against his bare legs. After breakfast and cleaning up, he decided to keep working on his transformation. After all, he only had 2 weeks left to become one of the girls at Phoebe's company. Ryan returned to his closet, where Rachel had given him a selection of clothes she no longer wanted, plus some they could share. He picked out a pink blouse and white skirt. After removing his nightgown, he chose a white bra and pantyhose from his drawer. He hooked the bra in front, as Rachel taught, then turned it around, slipped his arms through the straps, and padded the cups with pantyhose. Next, he pulled on a pair of tan pantyhose and a white half-slip. He pulled on the skirt, buttoned it, tucked in the blouse, and zipped up the skirt. Checking the mirror to make sure the slip wasn't showing, he settled in to work on his makeup and hair. Hair was easy, another night in curlers meant just brushing it out. Makeup took hours. The foundation was too heavy, the blush too much, lipstick the wrong shade. After half a box of tissues and a generous amount of makeup remover, Ryan finally felt satisfied. Though he saw room for improvement, the woman in the mirror looked no worse than many he'd seen. He went back to the closet for shoes, and Maria Ann was complete. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, Ryan slowly turned side to side, searching for anything in his outfit or makeup that might reveal him. Satisfied he looked convincingly female, he realized something was missing: jewelry. He searched through his clothes and makeup but found none. So, he decided to raid Rachel's jewelry box. There, Ryan discovered a delicate gold locket and a gold chain he could wear as a bracelet. They complemented his outfit well and suited his complexion beautifully. His only disappointment was that Rachel only had earrings for pierced ears. Ryan found several pairs he liked but couldn't wear without pierced ears. He decided to discuss getting his ears pierced with Rachel when she returned. It felt like a big step altering his body, but maybe it was necessary. Rachel was pleased with how well Ryan had managed his first day alone. She praised his skill in putting together a stylish outfit and accessorizing it. "You look really cute, Maria," she said, inspecting him. "No trouble getting dressed, I hope?" Ryan placed a hand on his hip, pouting. "Do you realize I don't have any jewelry? How am I supposed to look pretty without nice accessories? Honestly, what's a girl supposed to do?" Rachel laughed so hard she teared up. "Oh, you poor dear. Can you ever forgive me?" "I'll try," Ryan replied, still pouting. "But it won't be easy." "Well, I see you found my jewelry box eventually. That brings up a more serious problem, sister dear." Rachel noticed his tone had changed and grew concerned, fearing the worst. "You haven't changed your mind, have you?" "No, Rachel," he sighed. "I wouldn't be dressed like this if I had." "No, I suppose not. But what else could be so serious?" "My ears, Rachel. They're not pierced." "Excuse me?" Rachel asked, confused. "What's wrong with your ears?" "They're unpierced," Ryan said as if it was obvious. "All your earrings need pierced ears. That's easy to fix, get yours pierced. But that's permanent." "I'm not sure I'm ready for anything permanent," Ryan protested. "Oh, Maria Ann, it's not like we're talking about surgery. Just 2 tiny holes so you can wear pretty earrings." Ryan shrugged. "You're right, as usual. But I'm still unsure about something that drastic." Rachel thought for a moment. "Tell you what, why not compare first?" "Compare what?" "No pierced ears to pierced." "That's hard to do, isn't it?" "No, silly. Compare earrings. Go to the mall and check out both kinds. You'll find a better selection for pierced ears." "Okay, when can we go?" Rachel's mischievous grin returned. Ryan knew he was about to be wrapped up like a present, but all he could do was wait. "Not we, little sister. You'll go tomorrow while I'm at work." Ryan gestured at his skirt, stockings, and blouse. "You mean alone, dressed like this, in public?" "That's right, Maria Ann. You, alone, dressed just like that?" "I don't know, Rachel. It was one thing going out with you for support, but alone?" Rachel took his hand and led him to the mirror. "You're a beautiful lady now, Ryan, she said softly. People will see you and think you're an attractive woman. Remember those guys at the park? Ryan's smile grew. Rachel guessed he'd enjoyed the attention and now was sure of it. Guess I have to, Ryan said, trying to hide his excitement. Take your time. Try on a few outfits while you're there. Have fun. Ryan barely kept from smiling. Whatever the reason, Rachel knew her little brother enjoyed being a stunning woman. Ryan made dinner while Rachel changed into jogging clothes. It amused her how she couldn't wait to ditch her suit, stockings, and heels, while her brother happily cooked dinner in a skirt and blouse. That night, Rachel noticed Ryan took extra care with his curlers and spent a long time choosing his mall outfit. Safe in her room, she giggled at the change. He'd gone from a guy who cared little for his appearance to a pretty, confident, and feminine young woman. She wondered what their parents would think of their little boy now. The next morning, Ryan's alarm rang shortly after Rachel left for work. He'd planned to rise early but hid his excitement from her. After confirming she was gone, Ryan began preparing for his first solo outing as Maria Ann. After washing his face and brushing his teeth, Ryan slipped out of his nightgown. He picked out a particularly pretty white satin bra with lace cups, chosen the night before. It seemed to call out to him as he planned his outfit. Making sure Rachel wasn't watching, he placed it beneath a pile of clothes. His hands trembled slightly as he held it against his chest and fastened it. Next, he wrapped a lacy white garter belt around his waist, carefully rolled up white nylons, and attached them to the garters. He felt different stepping into the white half-slip he'd worn the day before. Then he put on a blue pullover top with short sleeves and a blue cotton skirt featuring an Aztec pattern, cinched with a thin brown belt. The skirt buttoned down the front and could be left partially unbuttoned for easier walking. Feeling bold, Ryan undid the two lowest buttons, letting a little more leg show. He brushed out his hair carefully, then meticulously applied makeup. For the finishing touch, he added the gold necklace and bracelet. Finally, slipping on white flats, Ryan decided to add one more thing, a spritz of perfume from Rachel's collection. After choosing the scent, he applied it to his neck, legs, arms, and chest. Maria Ann was ready. Ryan grabbed his purse, checked his bank card inside, and headed out for the bus to the mall. Ryan was relieved to find he was alone at the bus stop, but his relief vanished when the bus arrived, packed to the brim. Standing nervously, hoping no one examined him closely, he stole glances at the other women, studying how they dressed and moved to better blend in. One detail caught his attention: every woman placed her purse on her lap, even when seats beside them were empty. He realized it wasn't just to prevent theft, but also to block anyone from looking up their skirts. Lost in thought, Ryan didn't notice the passenger beside him stand and exit the bus. Startled, he felt a tap on his shoulder and heard a man his age ask if he'd like to sit down. Grateful, Ryan accepted the offer, even though the seat was just half of a bench where the man was sitting. The man's warm smile told Ryan this was more than a polite gesture, he genuinely wanted company. Not wanting to be rude, Ryan smiled as his companion slid over, making room. Ryan smoothed his skirt, settled in, and placed his purse on his lap. Ryan tried to focus on observing the other women, but found it difficult. His seatmate kept sneaking glances at his legs, something entirely new to Ryan, who was at a loss how to react. He'd often admired other women before, but this time it was his own nylon-clad legs being admired, and he found he enjoyed it just as much. After a moment's reflection, Ryan realized he wasn't being insulted or threatened. The man's attention was, in a way, a compliment. Ryan had worked hard to look good, so why be upset if someone appreciated it? Slowly, he shifted his purse further up his lap, revealing a bit more leg. The subtle movement from his seatmate showed his efforts hadn't gone unnoticed, the man was angling for a better look. Feeling more at ease, Ryan glanced around the bus, wondering if any of the other women might also be men in disguise. As far as he could tell, none were, but then again, no one seemed to think he was a man either. At the mall, Ryan carefully stepped off the bus. Previously, he might have hurried down the first two steps and leapt from the last, but such haste would be improper for a young woman. Instead, he took small, ladder-like steps, feeling the gentle tug of his garters as he descended. Walking through the mall, Ryan paused occasionally to window shop, mimicking what he'd seen other women do. Pausing before a store, he admired several sexy gowns on display and wondered what it would be like to wear one. Remembering Rachel's advice to take time shopping, he smiled and entered the store. When approached by a sales clerk, he politely asked about the window display and was led to a rack of gowns. Ryan browsed slowly, knowing Rachel had said women never rush clothing decisions. Eventually, he selected a red sequined gown with a plunging neckline and a white gown featuring sheer sleeves and pearl detailing along the neckline. He found an empty fitting room, changed, and tried them on. The red gown's neckline was too revealing for his build, but the white dress fit perfectly and brought an immediate smile to his face. He looked so stunning he wished he could keep it. Though he knew he'd never wear such a beautiful dress to work or anywhere else, he wanted it badly. Unfortunately, the price was too steep for something he'd only wear at home. Sadly, he slipped it off and returned it to the rack. Leaving the store, Ryan struggled to understand the thrill women found in window shopping. Why fall in love with something you couldn't afford? This whole female experience was becoming very confusing. Ryan continued window shopping, pausing now and then to examine items. He noted several outfits he liked. After all, he couldn't keep sharing Rachel's clothes forever. Eventually, he'd need his own. At his final stop, Ryan discovered Rachel was right about earrings. To have a real selection, he'd need pierced ears. Curious, he asked the clerk what would happen if he later decided he didn't want pierced ears anymore. The clerk kindly explained that over time, the holes would close unless earrings were worn regularly. Feeling reassured, Ryan finally decided to get his ears pierced. The excitement of making such a feminine change was quickly interrupted by the sharp sting of the piercing. Moments later, Ryan beamed, admiring the delicate gold studs now adorning his ears. Before leaving, he picked out several more pairs of earrings, choosing colors that matched various outfits and a few dangling and hoop styles he found especially pretty. Walking out of the store, Ryan felt buoyant and couldn't wait to show Rachel his new earrings. Back at the apartment, Ryan remembered the shoe stores he'd passed and the wide variety of women's footwear. Looking in the closet, he found Rachel had given him several pairs of high heels. Having seen many women wearing heels, Ryan decided he needed to learn how to walk and balance in them too. He slipped off his flats and stepped into a pair of peach-colored heels with 3-inch heels. Ryan spent the rest of the day doing housework, preparing dinner, and relaxing in his heels, much to Rachel's delight. Rachel squealed with joy when Ryan lifted his skirt high enough to reveal his garters. "Don't they make you feel wonderfully sexy?" she giggled. "There's nothing like putting on nylons to feel sensuous and alive. And feminine." Ryan laughed. "I couldn't believe how sexy and feminine I felt today." The two shared laughter and giggles, like two little girls sharing a special secret. Rachel told Ryan how she loved wearing nylons instead of pantyhose for special occasions, and Ryan recounted the story of the man checking out his legs on the bus. By the evening's end, it was all Ryan could do to take off his nylons. If he could, he'd have worn them to bed beneath his nightgown. The following weeks were devoted to perfecting Ryan's feminine image. Around the house, he wore only dresses, nylons, and heels, earning the nickname Phoebe Reed from Rachel. At night, he donned the sheerest, frilliest nightgowns he could find, occasionally purchasing a few for himself. After completing chores, he often hopped a bus to the mall for window shopping or visited with his mom while his dad was at work. Sometimes, the whole family went out for dinner, with both parents beaming proudly at their lovely daughters. Ryan frequently spent time chatting with his mother. During these talks, he confided about wearing garters, nylons, and frilly lingerie, occasionally showing her favorite pieces. His mother never criticized or made him feel odd for enjoying these items. She simply smiled and said she understood. The month passed quickly, and soon it was time for Maria and Codell to start her new job and possibly her new life. Monday arrived. Ryan's, or rather Maria Ann's, first day on the job, and butterflies filled his stomach. He'd been Maria and for a month now, yet the idea of holding a job while pretending to be a woman was still daunting. He woke early to ensure he had plenty of time to get everything just right. The night before, he'd spent over an hour searching Rachel's closets for the perfect outfit, so that was covered, but makeup and hair still needed attention. Groggy, Ryan shuffled into the bathroom, removed his nightgown and panties, then stepped into the hot spray of the shower. He quickly shaved his legs and underarms, despite having done so the night before. In fact, he'd shaved every night for 2 weeks. He didn't want any stray hairs ruining his look. After showering, Ryan slipped his nightgown back on and went to set his hair and dress. He was grateful for a gift his parents had given him, a set of hot rollers. Now, he didn't have to sleep in curlers or worry that his hair wouldn't look right in the morning. Having plugged them in before his shower, Ryan carefully removed the rollers and styled his hair as he'd practiced. Though not very long, his hair looked very becoming for a young professional woman, thanks to tips from women's magazines he'd read. With his hair curled, Ryan began putting on the lingerie he'd prepared the night before. He pulled on a pair of light pink panties with a floral lace front. He had to buy them 2 sizes smaller than his usual panties to avoid sagging in front. Though a bit tight around the hips and rear, after tucking his genitals in, the panties provided perfect support. His bra matched the panties in color, and after fastening it, he added another gift from his mother, a set of realistic chest forms. She said stuffing bras with nylons wouldn't suffice for a professional look, so she ordered mastectomy chest forms. Cradled in his bra, Ryan now had an impressive 34C bust line any woman would envy. The weight also helped him maintain proper feminine posture effortlessly. Sitting on his bed, Ryan carefully pulled on ivory pantyhose, followed by a girdle designed to accentuate his backside. He stepped in front of the mirror, giggling at the reflection of a young woman with a nice set of curves. The cut of his dresses and suits worked perfectly with the girdle and chest forms to complete his shapely look. He slipped on a white silk camisole and a silky white shell top before stepping into the wine-colored skirt he'd chosen. After tucking in his top, he zipped up the skirt, fastened its single button, then spun it around so the zipper rested at the back, a female mystery, he thought, wondering why the zipper wasn't simply in front to save the trouble. Though he felt odd not wearing a slip beneath the skirt, Rachel assured him that with a lined skirt like this, a slip wasn't necessary. Sitting before his vanity, Ryan laid out the foundation, blush, eyeshadow, mascara, and lipstick that would complete his transformation. He thought, no wonder it takes women so long to get ready, as he carefully outlined his lips with pencil before filling them in with lipstick. His casual makeup often took over half an hour. For work, his practice sessions lasted well over an hour. His attention to detail paid off. Once finished, his makeup was flawless. Rachel even asked him for pointers sometimes. With makeup complete, Ryan removed his curlers and brushed out tight curls until his now wavy hair framed his pretty face and curled under just at the collar of his blouse. Adding a pair of ruby earrings and a matching necklace completed the polished look. Ryan slipped on red pumps, removed his jacket from the hanger, and waited for Rachel to finish dressing. "It took you long enough," Rachel sighed as Ryan entered the room. "Honestly, Maria Ann, you take longer to get ready than any woman I've ever known." Ryan smiled, holding his jacket out and doing a slow twirl. "Well, I do look better than most women," he laughed. Rachel wasn't about to argue. In just 1 month, her geeky little brother had transformed into one of the most attractive women she'd ever seen. No one would ever guess this picture of feminine charm and beauty was actually a guy. Ryan had practiced his walk, speech, and mannerisms as much as his beauty routine, and the result was astounding. He looked, sounded, and acted as feminine as Rachel herself. After the 2nd week, Rachel started calling him Maria and more often, and by the 3rd week, she only referred to him in the 3rd person. Still, Rachel felt a pang of unease at how quickly her brother was becoming a woman, wondering what had become of the boy she once knew. She loved him just the same but doubted whether she'd made the right choice. She never imagined he'd embrace the role of pretending to be a woman for a job so completely. Their parents had adjusted remarkably, too. At first awkward about their son wearing women's clothes, they grew comfortable quickly. Ryan and his mother grew especially close, often shopping together and sharing talks, something Ryan had never done before. Ryan had also become closer to his dad as Maria, and whenever they visited, his father complimented his outfits or hairstyle. Ryan greeted him with hugs and kisses and often snuggled beside him watching TV. During a family outing, Ryan and his dad even danced together. Rachel found it odd to see her brother, dressed in a dress, stockings, and heels, resting his head on their father's chest while they danced. Their dad played the perfect gentleman, pulling back Ryan's chair, escorting him to the dance floor, and leading the dance. Ryan responded by taking his father's hand and letting himself be led gracefully. After the dance, Ryan would thank his dad with a kiss on the cheek before sliding back into his chair. Rachel once mentioned this to her mother, who just smiled and said they looked sweet together. If her parents could accept their son turning into a lady, why should Rachel be troubled? After all, she'd taught him how to dress and act like a woman, she just never expected he'd be so good at it. Well? Ryan asked impatiently. Well, what? Rachel snapped out of her thoughts. Do I look nice or what? You look great, Maria, Rachel replied. I couldn't have done better myself. Ryan's face lit up with a big smile. Thanks. I had to get up extra early to make sure I looked just right. I'm glad you like it. Amazing, Rachel thought. He reacted just like any woman would when complimented on her looks. She was impressed by how calm he was, as if he'd gone to work in a skirt every day. Well, she thought, now he would. But as they pulled into the parking lot, Ryan's calm facade began to crack. He sat motionless until Rachel came to his side. What's wrong, Maria Ann? She asked gently. Forgot something? Yeah, Ryan snapped. My brains. What was I thinking? Getting a job where I have to dress like a woman? Probably about bills you can't pay and where your next meal's coming from. I guess you're right, Ryan said quietly. But this is crazy. I can't convince people I'm a woman day after day. Why not? Rachel replied. You've done it for a month now. You've fooled everyone at the apartment, the supermarket, the mall, and the restaurants Mom and Dad took us to. Just relax, it's a good job. Ryan calmed considerably. He got out of the car and walked toward the office building, his new workplace. Rachel noticed several men looking at them as they approached, especially Ryan. She didn't say anything to avoid unsettling him. After all, he chose to accept the job as a woman, and men came with the territory. She smiled, imagining how her pretty little brother would react when a man first asked him out on a date. In the building, Rachel ran into coworkers at the elevator and introduced Ryan to everyone. The women were friendly and offered to show him around after his meeting with Monica, the company owner. Once the elevator doors closed, there was no turning back. Ryan chatted with the women, hoping everything would go well. By the time they reached Monica's office, Ryan felt relaxed and confident, following Rachel inside. Ryan, you're gorgeous, Monica exclaimed. I can't get over how pretty you look. Thanks, Ryan giggled. But I have Rachel to thank for the woman I am today. You're going to fit right in, Monica said, leading him to his desk. Have you met any of the other women yet? Ryan explained, meeting several on the elevator as Monica guided him through departments, introducing him to coworkers. The women welcomed him warmly, but some men seemed eager to make him especially welcome. Ryan felt like he was standing there in just his bra and panties, judging by their looks. Calm down, guys. Monica laughed. This is Rachel's little sister, the woman who's going to get you organized. She's not some brainless bimbo for your amusement. The men laughed but didn't seem fully convinced. It was a strange feeling. Ryan felt very much like a woman but knew exactly what those men were thinking. I'll show them, he thought. I'll prove a woman can be both beautiful and smart. He almost laughed, realizing how ironic it would be when those guys learned it was a man who taught them to see beyond looks. Ryan's first day on the job flew by as he threw himself into organizing the sales team. He became so absorbed in his work that his fears of being discovered faded away. All the time he'd spent learning to dress, walk, and talk like a woman had paid off. He moved confidently around the office, fully accepted by everyone as Maria Ann. After several days, Ryan found himself happier than ever. He couldn't believe someone was paying him to do what he loved most, bringing order to chaos. Sure, he had to pretend to be a woman, but as time went on, that felt like a small price for a job he truly enjoyed. Rachel kept a close eye on him at first, but soon realized Ryan was managing just fine. He'd made friends with several women at the office, they often had lunch together and went shopping. By the end of the month, he even planned to stop by a local bar with some coworkers after work. When he mentioned this to Rachel, she nearly fainted. "Remember your first day when you said you must have forgotten your brain?" she shouted. "You were right. You can't go out with a bunch of women, especially not to a bar." "And why not?" Ryan asked, hands on hips. "It's just some of us girls grabbing a drink and some gossip. What's the harm? What will you do if a guy hits on you?" Rachel asked sarcastically. "Will you go home with him? Or aren't you that kind of girl?" "I'm not going anywhere with any guy, Rachel. It's just a girls' night, that's all." Rachel saw arguing was pointless. Ryan had been accepted as one of the girls, and he loved it. "Do what you want, Maria, but be careful." Ryan kissed his sister on the cheek. "Don't worry, I'm not going home with the first guy who asks." That settled, Ryan changed into a short denim skirt, sleeveless top, ankle socks, and sneakers. He tucked a few dollars into a sock for emergencies and headed out for his daily jog in the park. Rachel noticed subtle changes in her brother but kept quiet. Still, she was uneasy about his shifting personality. Before starting work, Ryan had worked hard to be a woman, always reminding himself it was an act. Now, it felt effortless. Questions about makeup and matching outfits had vanished. Fashion magazines addressed to Maria and Codell arrived regularly, along with romantic novels Ryan occasionally bought. Rachel promised Ryan he could use his first 2 months' pay to build his own wardrobe, and he did. He amassed an extensive collection of beautiful clothes, returning Rachel's lent items after a personal shopping spree. Rachel had to admit Ryan had excellent taste and was thrilled when he let her borrow anything she wanted. Choosing wasn't easy, with about 30 suits, dresses, skirts, jackets, and matching shoes and purses. He was well stocked. Need lingerie? Ryan owned some of the prettiest sets money could buy. Her little brother spared no expense. Rachel considered mentioning how feminine Ryan had become but reminded herself that was the goal, to make him look, think, and feel like a woman. Between them, they had a wardrobe most women would envy. After jogging, Ryan returned, undressed, and prepared for a bath. Though he showered most mornings, once or twice a week he treated himself to a long, hot bubble bath with scented oils. With a big night at the bar planned, he wanted to pamper himself. Lying back in the warm water, he admired his painted toenails, an art he'd mastered after several tries. As soon as the weather warmed, he planned to wear open-toed heels to work, paired with summer outfits. He especially loved a lime green pleated skirt with a tunic-style top ending at the hips, a set he'd fallen for instantly, even buying a matching full slip. A pair of jade earrings, a ring, and a pearl necklace would complete the look perfectly. After relaxing, Ryan made sure his legs and underarms were flawlessly smooth. He jogged nightly and exercised regularly. He didn't want stray hairs spoiling the legs he'd worked hard for. At first, men staring in the office and shops bothered him. But after a month, he began to enjoy the attention. Like the man on the bus months ago, he'd worked hard to look good, and the looks were their way of saying thanks. 2 months prior, he would have been offended by such attention. Now, these weren't just men, they were admirers. Since he had to be a woman, he decided to embrace it and be the kind men liked looking at. After his shower, Ryan picked out his outfit for the day: cream-colored slacks, a pale yellow shell top, and matching bone-colored pumps. Next, lingerie. white nylon panties that wouldn't show under slacks, a figure-flattering panty girdle, a white lace-cupped bra, and a pretty white camisole. He skipped pantyhose, as his slacks were too tight for garters, opting instead for cream-colored pettipoints as a slip substitute. Finally, he gently pulled on white knee-high stockings to protect them from snagging on his now inch-long nails. Satisfied that his lower half looked perfect, Ryan pulled on the shell top and tucked it neatly into his slacks before fastening them and adjusting his belt. The shell was sheer enough to let some of the lacy trim from his camisole peek through, a detail Ryan welcomed, thinking it added a subtle touch of sexiness to his otherwise professional outfit. Once dressed, Ryan removed his curlers and brushed out the curls of his shoulder-length hair. He'd studied fashion magazines to find a hairstyle that would suit the office but could easily be styled more casually for evenings. After finishing his hair and makeup, he slipped on his heels and went to find Rachel, who was ready and waiting. "Rachel, I've been thinking about tonight, and I could really use some advice." "Advice?" Rachel asked, curious. "About what?" "There'll probably be guys around, and I don't know how to handle them," Ryan admitted quietly. "What if they try to take me home or something?" Rachel tried to explain all the lessons girls learn from dating, but she knew Ryan would only truly understand by experiencing it himself. She just hoped she'd prepared him enough when the time came. When the workday ended, Ryan couldn't wait to leave with the other women. He stopped briefly in the ladies' room to freshen his makeup and redo his hair. The women teased him about getting lucky at the bar, and Ryan joined in, joking about the qualities he hoped to find in his dream guy. Secretly, though, he wondered how he'd react to advances from another man. He knew he couldn't cause a scene that wouldn't be ladylike. He'd learned that men would be attracted to him, so all he could do was hope for the best. He was grateful for the calming talk with Rachel. She always seemed to know how to ease his fears. It was too early to head straight to the bar, so Ryan and the women stopped for dinner to kill time. They entertained themselves by checking out the men at the bar, and Ryan was surprised to find women enjoyed watching men just as much as his friends did. He'd always thought only men did that, but a whole new world was opening up to him. Quickly, he joined in, pointing out certain men who caught his eye. By the time they arrived at the bar, it was busy. They found a table, ordered drinks, and scanned the room. Before long, men began approaching, seeking dance partners. Before finishing his first drink, Ryan was asked to dance. That night at home, Ryan stayed up talking with Rachel about the fun he'd had and how eager he was to go again. To Rachel's surprise, she found herself encouraging him to consider accepting some of the date requests he'd received. After all, it wasn't like he was going to sleep with the guys, and who knew how long he'd be Maria Ann? He might as well enjoy his new life for now. Taking her advice, Ryan soon found his social calendar filling up. His limited dating experience as a male paled in comparison to what he was now experiencing as a woman. Men were more than happy to take him to the latest movies or wherever else they thought he'd enjoy. He was careful to keep things light, avoiding anything that might lead to complications, and the men didn't seem to mind. They were just happy to have such an attractive, intelligent woman as their date. At first, Ryan found giving his dates goodnight kisses awkward, but he soon realized it was just a woman's way of saying thanks. He was surprised to find that occasional kisses during the evening didn't bother him, and there were certain men he wanted to see again. He couldn't explain it, but they made him feel special. Rachel noticed Ryan's growing femininity and wondered where it would lead. Before, he'd seemed like a fairly normal young man, but now he appeared to have embraced a completely new, feminine personality to match his identity. She wasn't certain, but he even seemed softer and prettier with time. One weekend, Ryan invited Rachel on a shopping trip. He'd spotted some shorts on sale and wanted to pick up a few pairs for summer. They had a great time browsing the new fashions filling the stores, and Ryan found several pairs he wanted to try. Rachel thought he was looking at the wrong size. He usually wore size 11 slacks for more room, but today he tried on some size 9 shorts. A few minutes later, Ryan emerged from the dressing room wearing cream-colored shorts with a green and red floral pattern. His matching top was midriff length, and he'd tied the ends just below his bra line. Ryan grinned ear to ear as Rachel stared, amazed at how perfectly the shorts fit, no bulges at all. As he slowly turned around, she noticed his backside looked just like it did when he wore his girdle, yet she was certain he wasn't wearing one that day. Moving her gaze upward, Rachel was stunned to see her brother now sported delightfully feminine curves and hips. "What do you think of your little sister now?" Ryan asked, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. "You're gorgeous," Rachel blurted, breathless. "Absolutely gorgeous. But how?" "In a minute, Rachel. But first, I want to try on one more thing." With that, Ryan slipped back into the dressing room, leaving Rachel stunned and staring at the curtain. Before she could react further, Ryan called her inside. Cautiously, she pushed back the curtain and stepped in. As she turned to close the curtain behind her, she gasped. Her brother stood there, wearing a blue one-piece woman's bathing suit and looking absolutely fabulous. Ryan smiled again and spun slowly to show off the full suit. The neckline dipped low enough to reveal the tops of his chest forms, which he'd begun gluing on, while the back featured straps that crossed just above his well-rounded backside. Draped casually over one shoulder was a sheer, dark blue cover-up, making him look like a swimsuit model straight out of a glossy magazine. "Like it? It and you are beautiful," Rachel whispered, careful not to draw unwanted attention. "But you already know that. What I really want to know is, how did you manage to make yourself look so much like a woman?" Pointing down at his crotch, Ryan smiled. "It's called a gaff, a very tight undergarment designed for women like me. It keeps everything in place when you don't want to or can't wear a girdle." "Amazing," Rachel exclaimed. "But what about your chests? Won't they come unglued if you go swimming?" Ryan smiled, then carefully undid the top of his swimsuit. "No chance. These are real." Rachel nearly stumbled when he slipped off the bathing suit. She barely noticed the flesh-colored garment he wore to conceal his genitals, but there was no doubt about his chest. Her brother now had chests and a woman's figure. When the initial shock faded, Ryan explained he had decided never to return to living as a man. He planned to live out his life as Maria and Codell. Their mother had found a doctor willing to prescribe female hormones, which gave him the soft, feminine appearance Rachel had noticed. After several months on the hormones, he underwent chest enlargement surgery to complete his transformation. He had no plans for gender reassignment surgery, preferring to rely on hormones to look and feel as much like a woman as possible. Rachel knew there was no turning back for Ryan now. From this moment forward, she would accept that Ryan was gone, replaced forever by a beautiful woman named Maria and whom she had helped create. She hadn't thought of him as male for so long that this transition wasn't going to be hard to accept. "Welcome to the family, lady," she said, wrapping her arms around her new sister. "I can't wait for summer at the beach. If you appreciated this story and wish to show your support, don't forget to join me on Patreon for exclusive content,